Palm Jumeirah, $5 billion, 94 million cubic meters of sand. These mini-cities took 6 years to create, using millions of tons of rock and sand. And the world's most expensive lie in 2001, Sheikh Mohammed sold a dream. David Beckham bought it. Michael Schumacher bought it. The entire world applauded. Today, something is cracking inside that dream, literally on some fronds. Entire streets go dark at night. No power failure, just nobody's home. Beneath a $10 million villa sits nothing but sand. And that sand is slowly going down. This isn't just the story of an island. This is a story of everything that shines on the outside and rots from within. Want the truth? Stay with us. We reveal what they buried under sand. The dream that shocked the world. June 2001. Dubai is a city most of the world can barely find on a map. It has oil money. Sure, but its oil reserves are running dry. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai. It's all the vision of one man, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Knows this better than anyone. He's watched neighboring Gulf states ride the same wave, and he's seen what happens when that wave crashes. A city built entirely on oil is a city with an expiration date. He needs a plan, not a 5-year plan, not a 10-year plan. He needs something that will put Dubai on the global map forever. His solution? Build an island, not a regular island. A palm tree-shaped island rising straight out of the Persian Gulf that would expand Dubai's coastline by 78 kilometers in a single move. Palm Jumeirah is by the sea, and the 78-kilometer shoreline is dotted with idyllic seaside destinations. More coastline meant more beachfront properties. More beachfront properties meant more tourists. More tourists meant an economy that didn't need oil to survive. The story behind the shape is fascinating. Initially, engineers proposed a sun-shaped design that would create 7 kilometers of beaches. Sheikh Mohammed rejected it on the spot. He wanted 70 kilometers, 10 times what the engineers had offered. So they went back to the drawing board. They stretched the sun design sideways, pulling each arm outward until the shape stopped looking like a sun and started looking like a palm tree with 17 fronds radiating from a central trunk. When they calculated the total coastline, the number came to almost exactly 70 kilometers. The ruler got precisely what he asked for down to the last kilometer. What happened next moved faster than most governments can pass a budget. Nakhil Properties, a government-owned developer and subsidiary of Dubai World, was handed the project. 2 Dutch dredging companies, Jan de Nul and Van Oord, were brought in with GPS-guided equipment. It's an iconic project. We are building here a palm-shaped archipelago with 16 fronds along a 6-kilometer trunk. So precise it could place sand within millimeters of its intended position. The coordinates were locked in from satellites orbiting 676 kilometers above the Earth. Over 40 expert consultants were hired across coastal engineering, marine biology, architecture, and infrastructure. Before a single grain of sand was moved, expert divers went down to the seabed to study the rock formations and confirm the project was physically possible. The numbers that came out of those early planning sessions were staggering. The kind of numbers that make you read the sentence twice. 120 million cubic meters of sand dredged from the Persian Gulf floor and sprayed into position through massive pipes. 7 million tons of rock quarried from the Hajar Mountains inland and transported to the coast. A crescent-shaped breakwater stretching 11.5 kilometers around the entire island's outer edge, built from rocks weighing up to 6 tons, each to shield the palm from Gulf waves and the seasonal chamal winds that sweep across the region. The entire foundation was laid without a single piece of steel or concrete, just rock, compressed sand, and the sheer force of water management. Construction began in June 2001, and the land reclamation phase was complete by 2003. By 2006, the first residential homes were ready for handover. By October 2007, 75% of properties had been transferred to owners, with 500 families already living on the fronds. By the end of 2009, 28 hotels had opened along the crescent. 8,000 deluxe mansions and apartments have been built, housing 80,000 people. The Atlantis, a $1.5 billion resort built to anchor the entire development, became the island's crown jewel. An underwater aquarium, a water park, 1,539 rooms, and a royal suite that cost $26,000 per night. Its opening party in November 2008 was reportedly one of the most expensive events in history, with fireworks visible across the emirate. David Beckham bought a property. Michael Schumacher bought one. Developers were selling units off-plan before construction was even finished, and buyers were flipping those contracts in a single afternoon for six-figure profits. The global press covered every phase, every celebrity purchase, every record-breaking sale. From the air, it looked exactly like what was supposed to be a miracle, the eighth wonder of the modern world, built in 7 years from nothing but sand and ambition. But underneath that miracle, something was already beginning to shift. The sand starts moving. Here's something most people don't know about sand. It moves. When you pile millions of tons of sand into the sea and build heavy structures on top of it, the sand underneath doesn't just sit still. It compresses. It shifts. It finds a path of least resistance. And sometimes that path goes downward. Engineers knew this going in. To fight it, they used a technique called vibrocompaction, essentially vibrating the sand with large machines to pack it as tightly as possible before construction began. The theory was solid. We're currently undertaking vibrocompaction. The site area is made up of 468,000 square meters of reclaimed fill. But theory and reality are two different things when you're building on 120 million cubic meters of loose seabed material. No textbook, no simulation, and no controlled test environment can fully prepare you for what happens when ambition meets the ocean floor at that kind of scale. In 2009, just 3 years after the first homes were handed over, a European ground survey company called Fugro NPA released a report that quietly shook the project. Using satellite data, they measured the Palm Jumeirah sinking at an average rate of 5 millimeters per year. Their project manager, Adam Thomas, confirmed the findings. Multiple locations on the island were measurably moving downward. It wasn't a dramatic collapse. It wasn't headline news. It was quiet, slow, and in many ways far more unsettling for that very reason. Nikhil pushed back, pointing out that the satellites had a measurement resolution of only 50 millimeters, making precise readings difficult. But the data was there, and it wasn't uniform. That's actually the most dangerous part. The island wasn't sinking evenly. Different sections were settling at different rates. When that happens, the consequences ripple through everything built on top. Foundations crack under uneven pressure. Drainage systems designed for a flat, stable surface begin to fail. Water pools in places it was never supposed to reach. Roads develop subtle warps. Walls that once stood plumb begin to lean in directions that are barely visible to naked eye, but unmistakable to a structural engineer. Some villas on the outer frond sank by more than 1.30 centimeters within the first decade of construction. Think about what that means for a moment. You paid $10 million for a beachfront villa. The villa is still standing. The view is still beautiful. The neighbors are still wealthy. But the waterline is now 6 inches closer to your living room than it was when you bought the property, and it keeps creeping, slowly, persistently, like a problem that smiles at you while it gets worse. Rising sea levels make this worse in ways that compound uncomfortably. NASA satellite data shows global sea levels rising by 3.22 millimeters per year. That number might sound small in isolation, but add it to the sinking of the island itself, and the math becomes very uncomfortable very quickly. You're no longer dealing with one problem. You're dealing with two problems moving in the same direction at the same time. Some projections suggest that without significant ongoing intervention, parts of the Palm could face serious flooding risk well before the end of the century. Not in some distant apocalyptic future. Within the lifespan of the mortgages currently held on properties there. Dubai is aware of the problem. They've invested millions in maintenance every single year. Monitoring systems, drainage upgrades, coastal reinforcement, and ongoing geological surveys. The infrastructure behind the scenes is vast and expensive, and largely invisible to the people sipping coffee on their terraces above it. But maintenance is not the same as a solution. It's a holding pattern, a way of keeping reality at bay for as long as the money keeps flowing. And the money for now does keep flowing. Dubai has a remarkable ability to turn financial willpower into physical reality. What's less clear is whether financial willpower has any meaningful negotiating power with geology. Sand doesn't care about quarterly earnings. The ocean doesn't respond to press releases. And there's another problem that nobody in the brochures ever talk about, one that's visible, measurable, and impossible to explain away with satellite resolution disputes. The beaches are disappearing. The sea fights back. The Persian Gulf has its own patterns, its own currents, its own rhythms, its own way of moving water and sand across the seabed. For thousands of years, those patterns shaped the coastline of what is now Dubai. They were slow, ancient, and indifferent to human ambition. They didn't negotiate. They didn't compromise. They simply moved the way water has always moved, carving, depositing, reshaping, repeating. Then in 2001, a 5.6 square kilometer obstacle was placed directly in the middle of those patterns. The Gulf didn't disappear. It adapted. And there you have it. The shocking story behind Palm Jumeirah, the man-made island that was once hailed as one of the greatest engineering achievements in human history. Built at a cost of billions and designed to showcase Dubai's limitless ambition, Palm Jumeirah became a symbol of luxury, wealth, and innovation. But as we've seen today, even the most spectacular megaprojects can face unexpected challenges. From environmental concerns and costly maintenance to questions about its long-term sustainability, the future of this iconic island remains uncertain. Will Palm Jumeirah continue to thrive as one of the world's most exclusive destinations? Or could it become a cautionary tale about the risks of building beyond nature's limits? What do you think? Is Palm Jumeirah still a modern wonder, or is its best chapter already behind it? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into billionaire lifestyles, luxury mega projects, royal fortunes, and the rise and fall of the world's most ambitious empires. Thank you for watching, and remember, behind every billion-dollar dream lies a story that few people ever get to see. We'll see you in the next video.